The Merkurius Mind presents to you our weekly dose of inspirational teachings. So sit back, listen, and thrive. And please, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can get notification every time we release a new dose. Let's go!
Today, I'll be talking about purpose drives impact, and impact rewards purpose. I have discovered that this life is like a circle. We always cash out what we put into life. I want you to understand this. Life has a way of rewarding us by taking us back to our original self, or taking us back to our beginning. This is a very sensitive teaching, so I urge you to pay attention for you to understand this. All our journey in life, all our encounters, the stress, the pain, and the growth are all designed to train us, only to take us back to our original self. Whoever that we are meant to become in the future has already been there from the beginning. He or she has been inside of us since birth. So all our journey in life, all our explorations in life are just pathways for us to arrive where we began. But the only difference is that we now get to know and understand better the person from the beginning. I will give you this observation from Thomas S. Eliot. He was an American-British poet. He said, "We must not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we began and to know the place for the first time." This same reason is why Dr. Miles Monroe said, "Whatever that will make a man successful is already inside of him." This means that finding your purpose, in a very simple word, means discovering yourself. When you discover yourself, you have found your purpose. When you discover yourself, it creates momentum and it creates movement. It gets you off your feet, and that movement in return rewards you. By movement, I mean walking towards your purpose. Now I understand that many of us has had teachings on purpose a lot, and sometimes the teachings are overwhelming and we are confused, but the thing is, the way they teach about purpose sometimes makes it look so complex. But it doesn't have to be complex. Complexity is an enemy of execution. So when anything looks complex, people tend to withdraw from it. So the reason why you see a 40-year-old person, he or she will still be telling you that I'm here to discover my purpose. How can you live for a full 40 years and you haven't discovered yourself? That's exactly what that means. When you said you haven't found your purpose, it simply means you haven't discovered yourself. So like I said, this is very simple. Once you discover yourself, you discover your purpose. One of the main reasons people find it difficult to discover their purpose is they focus so much on the outside world. They focus so much on what is trending. They don't even see themselves anymore. They focus so much on their environment that they lose sight of themselves. The distraction from their environment has programmed their lives. The distractions has programmed the way they live. The society has programmed the way people live. That is why you will see people, it will be so difficult for them to discover themselves. For an example, when a man leaves his house in the morning and go to work, he might have series of meetings, go to lunch, do all kind of things at work. But when that same man don't return home at the end of the day, that day is considered worthless. The only thing that makes that day fruitful and productive for the man is after all that work, he returns home. So returning home means returning to that beginning. Most of us, the purpose that we are created, we already have experienced those things at a very tender age. Sometimes age 10, but because we want to blend with the society, we tend to move with what is happening around, and what happens finally is we end up not knowing ourselves, not discovering the original self, our original self. So my urge to you this morning is, it is time to return home. It is time to go back to the beginning. Let me teach you one simple way to discover yourself. In philosophy, there is what we call autotelic and exotelic. Autotelic, the spelling is A-U-T-O-T-E-L-I-C, and exotelic, E-X-O-T-E-L-I-C. Autotelic is derived from two Greek words. Auto, it means self, and telos means goal. So when I say autotelic, what it refers to is a self-contained activity that you do not with the expectation of some future benefit, but simply because the doing of the work itself is the reward. So let me give you an example. A teacher that teaches children, that is not teaching the children not just for the benefit because he wants to turn those children to become good citizens or become doctors or become lawyers, but the teacher is teaching those children because he finds joy in teaching those children. He finds the activity of teaching itself rewarding. That is what it means to be autotelic, and that is one way that you discover yourself. Those things that you find yourself doing, even when you know that you're not being paid for it, but you find satisfaction in doing the activity. You are not depending, or you're not thinking about the rewards. Meanwhile, exotelic is the opposite of it. Is when you do things having the reward in mind. When you're doing something and the only thing you have in your mind is you're thinking about the result, you're thinking about the achievement. But when you're doing something for the purpose of that thing, that is how you discover yourself. And this is the reason I said a person's purpose drives impact. When you are doing something that you love, something that you find satisfaction, something that when you're doing it, inside of you is where you find the satisfaction. You're doing it because you gain pleasure from the thing, not pleasure from the reward of that particular thing. That thing tends to drive you because you find joy in doing it. So when you discover that thing that lights you up, the things that gives you satisfaction, you will be driven towards it. Trust me, because you do those things with passion, and those passion is what impacts lives, and in return those impacts will reward you, and they will reward your purpose. So you don't go after rewards, you go after what you love. You go after what lights you up. You go after what gives you subjective satisfaction. Then the thing you love and do will now reward you. So this morning I want to beg you one thing: stop looking at purpose, stop looking around the environment to find your purpose. It is time to go back home. Go back inside yourself. The purpose that you are created for is simply means to discover the real you, discover who you are. Once you discover who you are, you know what your purpose is. And discovering who you are means, what are those things that move you? What are the things that makes you happy? The things that satisfies you even when you're not being paid for it. The things that when you do, the activity itself is what makes you satisfied. Is not because of the reward or the consequences that you get from doing those things. It is the thing itself that lights you up. Those are the things that when you do them, you discover yourself. That is how you discover your purpose. So this morning, let purpose not be a complex thing for us anymore, because the more you discover yourself, you have that passion that will move you to create impact, to make impact in the life of people, and those impacts in return will reward you. Thank you for listening today. God bless you.